I've been doing a bit more bush flying lately, maybe you've noticed, and I've been looking to get another bush plane to explore more of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, I like the bush planes, the Asobo ships with the sim. They're all variations of the Cub. So I would like something that's a little different, a little more in-depth, something that's a little more interesting. So I started by hunting around the marketplace and then took to the forums and Reddit threads just to try to get an idea of what's out there. Two add-ons got recommended more than anything else as far as single-engine piston planes go. That's the Freedom Fox by Parallel 42. It's a bit more dated by this point, but still a highly regarded little plane, and the much more recently developed Wilga 35 and 80 by Got Friends. Both of these planes have a lot of merits, but they offer two very different experiences. So I got both, and in this video, I'm going to show you the strengths and weaknesses to both, and maybe help you decide which one to get first. We loaded in at the Freedom Fox home. This is the home location and scenery that's included with the aircraft. You also get 2 or 3 other sceneries included with this thing as well. The physical modeling and the physical quality of this plane is spot on. Even for an add-on that was released almost 3 years ago, it still looks fantastic, and it still looks better than most of the models that are included by Asobo in the sim. You know, we've all seen this plane all over YouTube, and this is a really faithful recreation, I feel like. Camera bag, tent, signature, got some really cool stuff. Also, one little interesting Easter egg I found here. If you click the notepad, you see that down there with guest appearances by Got Gravel. You know what's interesting about that is Got Gravel is one part of the collective of Got Friends, people that make the Wilga. So maybe it just goes to show how connected a lot of these developers are to each other. So the one thing you notice is just how phenomenal the visibility is out of this plane. You can see straight down to these big fat tires, and when they touch down the runway, it makes it super easy to see what's going on, and you get great views from above. So we're going to take off from the home airstrip here and get up in the air. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my thoughts on flying this plane. So it rotates really easily, don't need a whole lot of speed. We literally just took off in a driveway, and as you can see, it climbs pretty aggressively. That's one of the main appeals to this plane. It's got a lot of power, and it's just super lightweight. So it climbs and it descends really easily. You can get way down low, check out things on the ground. It's pretty much the perfect sightseeing plane, to be honest with you. There isn't really a whole lot of setup involved on the runway. There are checklists and stuff, but really this is one of those planes where you can just get in it and go, and the plane really kind of gets out of the way. You have some advanced avionics with the tube Garmin units down here, and there just really isn't a whole lot to this plane, and that's kind of the appeal. You can get in it. It flies fantastically well. It's a little bit more on the arcadey side, I would say. Not necessarily a bad thing. It just doesn't require a lot of concentration, and there's not a lot of systems to contend with. So that's kind of nice depending on the mission. If you just want to go check out an area, you want to bomb down some mountains, this thing has become my favorite plane for just carving up mountains, because yeah, it's just great. I feel like you're in a fighter jet. It's really cool. It's basically a sport car in the sky. If anything, it feels kind of like I don't know, almost like a four-wheeler, some kind of sport or side-by-side kind of vehicle. We were comparing it to say like a GA plane, because this is an experimental. It's definitely smaller, it's lighter, but yeah, you can just see great views from up here. It's also fairly easy to handle on the ground, probably one of the easiest tail dragger planes as far as ground handling goes. It's pretty forgiving on the ground, in the sky. It's just a really easy aircraft. It does have autopilot. You can see that panel right in the center. So if you're fighting some crosswind, or maybe you want to take a step back for a minute and let the plane fly itself, it's totally capable of doing that. But you'd probably be missing the point of this plane if you were planning to make regular use of the autopilot. This is really a plane for, hey, I see something cool down here, I want to go check it out, and you just pull throttle and you dive down, and this is the plane to do that in. you don't have to worry about this plane. You don't even have to worry about terrain, because look what happens when we apply just the throttle. We're straight back up, and we got plenty of speed, airspeed. So you're going to see I'm going to take the Wilga out after this for a few minutes. Same kind of thing. We'll get up in the air, circle around a little bit, and I'll describe kind of the key differences. The reality is these planes are really for two very different kind of use cases and missions. This thing is an absolute fun machine. Everything from the tie-ins with the Trent Palmer stuff, right down to the flight characteristics of the model. It's just a really fun plane to fly. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It can get in and out of places that most other planes can't. It's just a lot of fun. So you really can't go wrong with the Freedom Fox, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for. So here we are at Forewood Farm. This is the home for the Wilga. This is the included scenery. They put a lot of detail just into this one scenery. So you only get one, but there's a lot going on here. A lot of little campers, pretty wide, big open area. A farm spot in the back, a couple of hangars on the side for some farm equipment and stuff. And I have to say, comparing the sceneries to just the landscape in Reno, Nevada, where we just were with the Freedom Fox, this is definitely more detailed. That might be some of the photogrammetry in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It might just, I don't know, look a little more appealing in this part of the world. But this local scenery that it comes with looks really cool. And of course the plane here. The plane looks really cool. It's a very distinctive looking aircraft. Probably have seen the Draco. That's the plane that Mike Patay built. And it's based on the Wilga. It's got this really wide, distinctive looking stance with the landing gear. Fully actuated landing gear, looks super cool. And the detail, this particular livery is, you know, fairly plain, but there's like 13 other liveries included that it comes with. And just the detail on the aircraft body, everything looks really good. Looks nice and scratched up properly like a bush plane, you know, you'd expect it to look. So they did a really nice job with the physical modeling of the Wilga as well. So here we are in the cockpit of the Wilga, and the first thing you might notice is that this is quite a bit different than the inside of the Freedom Fox, where the Freedom Fox was clean and sleek and modern and relatively simple and all glass instrumentation. This is basically the opposite. This is an old plane. It's got a few complex systems that are really well modeled on this add-on. So where the Freedom Fox was less demanding of your attention, it was fairly simple to fly. This offers a little bit more complexity and some things to understand. It has some more features. It has a smoke generator, so you can have like smoke trails behind you. It can tow sailplanes, but just the detail involved. I mean, look, see the ball, the bank indicator there. Even that's kind of bouncing around, as are the needles on some of the gauges and stuff. So you can just tell a lot of love and attention to detail was put into the systems in this aircraft, and there are some fairly complex systems. Not the most complex, but it'll take some time to understand this plane, and that's kind of what you have to go into it wanting. You kind of have to want to learn a few new things in order to fly the plane. That's the appeal of this, right? So let's get takeoff here. Move the chocks, the wheel chocks. And you'll notice the sound effects. Man, that engine just sounds really good, doesn't it? So more nice detail put in there. One thing that's a little weird on takeoff, the tail really likes to kick out. Doesn't seem to matter if there's a crosswind or not. It just does that. So you kind of have to be ready to catch it. But other than that, it's fairly easy, especially for a tail dragger, to get it off the ground. So let's put the flaps up. You have good visibility out the windows here too. Not quite as good as the Freedom Fox. Not a huge wide open canopy, but not bad. I mean, you can definitely see what's going on. It looks good. Now, if the Freedom Fox flew kind of like more like a sports car or like an ATV, this thing feels like a truck or a tractor or maybe a Jeep. It just feels more substantial. It feels weightier. It feels heavier. Not only do some of the systems demand more of your attention while you're flying them, the aircraft just feels like there's a little bit more to handle as well. Let me bring back the RPM a little bit. There is engine realism, so what that means basically is that you can overstress the engine
If that's turned on, you don't have to turn that on. You can keep that off. But that's another kind of feature of this particular add-on. You can start planning for failures and start to do fun stuff like that. Expect the unexpected. So you can't really go wrong with this plane either. It just really depends on what you go into, what you're really looking to experience. You pick up this add-on, you're really looking to experience the plane. Good for sightseeing, but really the focus here is on some of the depth and the complexity of some of the systems and the flight model with the Wilga. So let's get to conclusions. So conclusions, which bush plane is going to be the best bush plane for you? Well, I think I made a pretty clear case for both of them. I like my analogy where I was saying if you want something that feels more like an ATV or a side-by-side in the sky, you're going to like the Freedom Fox. Does a really great job for sightseeing, very simple plane to fly, very non-intimidating. If you just want to hop in something and go and take off and go check out the sights. If you're really interested in diving into a fairly interesting complex planes with some systems that you may not be familiar with, maybe go for the Wilga. They're both great bush planes. The Wilga, you're probably going to be focusing more on flying the plane and learning the systems, at least at first. The Freedom Fox, it's dead simple. It looks great. The sceneries included with both are excellent. The physical models look great. So you're probably going to end up with both at some point or another if you're interested in both of them. But I would take a look at the Wilga if your focus is, on getting an interesting plane to really sink your teeth into and learn. Or if you're just looking for something a little more casual, a little more fun, maybe look at the Freedom Fox instead. The point is you really can't go wrong with either. So just get out there and fly and have fun with one of them at least.